Uncle Lou here. On the way home here, gonna do a quick video for you people today. My thoughts after the first week here. First week of the college football season. Now, if you're wanting me to say that Georgia's going to beat everybody we play by 3 touchdowns, and I'm not even worried, and I'm not even going to pay attention now until the playoff starts because I know Georgia's going to be there. Sorry to disappoint you. That's not what I'm going to say. I mean, I was impressed with Georgia's win. I mean, period. If you watched that game, I think you're impressed with their win too, whether you're a Georgia fan or not. The second half of that game was one of the most dominating performances I've seen on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And I'm not going to get into rehashing that game here, but you know, it's just the first game. I'm not one of these people who thinks that you know, we're gonna, just because of that happened, now we're gonna have a season like Florida State had last year where we beat everybody we play by 40 points. That's not gonna happen. We're in the SEC. Every game is gonna be tough. Period. Every SEC game, every single one. Every SEC game worries Uncle Lou every year, regardless of our record and regardless of the record of the team we're playing. Every single SEC game is a potential loss, the way I see it. I said before the season started that the 3 games I was concerned most about this year were South Carolina, Florida, and Auburn. And I haven't changed my mind. I still feel the same way. I'm not going anywhere, lady. So, somebody's honking the horn at Uncle Lou. The light is red. I have to get out of the car and straighten this person out here. I don't know. But anyway, those 3 games are still my biggest concern. I know now, you know, after the way Carolina performed last week and the way that Georgia performed, you know, I'm a little bit less worried about the Carolina game. But the Carolina game always worries me just because it's the first SEC game of the year. So, you know, it's important. And with Carolina already having a loss to A&M, well, an SEC team, a Georgia win would basically put us up 3 games over Carolina, because we'd own a tiebreaker over them. We would have to lose 3 SEC games for Carolina to jump us at that point. So it's a huge game this year. I still think we'll win. I think we're the better team. I am curious to see how Carolina performs this week against East Carolina. They're not a pushover. Wouldn't shock me if East Carolina beat them. I'm not predicting that right now. I'll do a predictions video maybe Friday or something where I pick some of the bigger games. But and I want to keep this video just my impressions after the first week. So, yeah, I'm impressed with UGA. They look good. I'm excited about the season, but nothing has changed for me versus before we kicked off against Clemson. The only thing that's changed is that we're 1-0. A lot of people have been arguing and going back and forth yesterday and today about the rankings that were released. And I'm going to be honest with you. I look at the rankings because everyone talks about them. I could care less about the rankings. I really could. I don't care. If you win the SEC, you're in the 14 playoff, period. I don't care. 2 losses, 1 loss, no loss. If you win the SEC, you're in. So I'm not going to sit here and worry about the rankings. The rankings that are out don't even affect the playoff rankings anyway, or they're not supposed to. I'm sure they may influence the voters a little bit, but the AP poll and the coaches poll don't have any bearing on the playoff poll, which starts coming out sometime in October. I'm not worried about the ranking. I think Georgia moved up to 6 in one of the polls or something, you know, and if I was going to rank the teams right now, that's probably about where I'd put them, somewhere in the 4, 5, 6 range. I'm not as worried about Florida State. Well, that came out wrong. I'm not. Florida State is a good team. The fact that people are jumping on them because they only beat Oklahoma State by 6 points, you know, that's not an easy win in what's basically a home game for Oklahoma State. You know, it's a lot easier for those folks in Oklahoma to travel to that game than it was Florida State fans. Jameis Winston did look a little rusty to me. The 2 interceptions has got to worry you a little bit if you're a Florida State fan. But you know, until they lose, I don't have a problem with them staying ranked number 1. But if you're a Florida State fan, you better go undefeated because your strength of schedule is in the toilet, sir. The ACC is a complete joke of a conference. Clemson is the second best team in the ACC. Make no mistake about it, with the exception of, I don't know, Duke. You know, I mean, this just goes to show you how weak the ACC is. That you even have to think about, is Duke the second best team? It could be. The fact that that's even a possibility and a consideration, just, I mean, you guys are doing it wrong over there in the ACC. I don't understand. I mean, Wake Forest got beat by one of the directional Louisiana schools. Georgia Tech was only up by 1 point on Wofford at halftime. NC State should have lost that game to Georgia Southern. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so Florida State, if they don't go undefeated, they may, you know, they could get left out whether they win the ACC or not. But so anyway, I'm okay with them being number 1, I guess. Number 2, I don't know. You know, same thing with Alabama. People are, you know, jumping on Alabama now. And, you know, I get it. You get used to a team just dominating people. You know, Florida State, Alabama, whatever. And, you know, they come out and struggle and people act like the wheels are falling off. Alabama has it's probably 30 NFL players on their roster. They're fine. Are they unbeatable? No. No team is unbeatable. But, you know, they're probably still the favorite to win the SEC, and for good reason. My concern, if I'm an Alabama fan, is the spread offense. Again, this video isn't intended to be a knock or an insult on any particular team or anything like that. This is just Uncle Lou's reactions here to week 1. But there seems to be a pattern developing here with these Nick Saban, Kirby Smart defenses, that you guys just can't stop the spread offense. You know, A&M put up 1,200 yards on you in 2 games. You couldn't stop Auburn last year. You couldn't stop Oklahoma. You couldn't stop West Virginia. So if I'm an Alabama fan, that's my concern. Because you still have to play A&M this year. You still have to play Auburn this year. And what is it? Ole Miss runs a little bit of that. I wouldn't be as concerned about them as I would be about Auburn and A&M, but that's my concern if I'm an Alabama fan. But them at number 2, okay, that's fine. Oregon, you know, Uncle Lou's never really been on the Oregon bandwagon. I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me that Oregon scores 40, 50, 60 points a game until they play any kind of decent team, and they struggle to get to 20. I mean, if you want to go back to the national title game against Auburn that year, you know, Auburn pretty much shut them down. They have a problem with Stanford every year, which I've said before and I'll say again. Stanford is an SEC team that happens to play in the Pac-12. You know, they have an NFL defense. you know, they have a good program out there. I have a lot of respect for Stanford. But Oregon played LSU to open up the season one year, struggled to score against them. So I don't know. I mean, Oregon is a good team. It seems like they never put anybody in the NFL. In fact, the only person I can think of right now from Oregon that's even in the NFL is LeGarrette Blount. You know, he's never really done anything. There may be one or two others. I don't track Oregon's draft history. I'm just going off, you know, recollection here. But so I've never really been on the Oregon bandwagon, but they score so many points and they blow so many people out that they, you know, they always end up ranked pretty high until they lose at the end of the year to a decent team. But with that being said, they do have to play Michigan State this week, which is going to be a good game, I think. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'll do a predictions video or something towards the end of the week. But so they're up there pretty high. Oklahoma, another team here the last 10 years or so that seems to be ranked real high for no particular reason. You know, they'll go, you know, undefeated or one loss in the Big 12, but they can't seem to get over the hump lately. But they do have a good team. You know, I'm not completely sold on their quarterback. I got to see him have a couple more good games. And then I think Georgia's right in that next group of teams after that right now. Now I'm going strictly off of week 1. So, you know, like I said, if you watch the Georgia game, they look like a pretty dominant team, particularly in the second half. Now, you know, they may come out against Carolina and lay an egg. I don't know. I don't expect that to happen. But these, you know, I'm going off of what I see after week 1. And you know, these are the things I notice. The ACC is a joke. The Big 10 is a joke. The Big 12 is teetering on the cliff of becoming a joke. You guys better hope Oklahoma's the real deal, or you know, I don't know. But the Pac-12 and the SEC are miles ahead of the other 3 conferences without question. The Big 10 is in trouble too with Braxton Miller being out against Ohio State. I watched all of that Ohio State Navy game, and Navy looked like the better team. I don't know if any of you guys actually watched that game, not just the highlights on ESPN, but Navy looked like the better team to me. And I thought Navy was going to win that game right up into the fourth quarter there. I think the final ended up being 34-17, but it was 17-17. You know, Navy was giving them all they could handle up into the fourth quarter. So they lose Braxton Miller. They're probably going to have a loss or two. If Michigan State goes out this weekend and gets curb stomped by Oregon, then the Big Ten is probably out of the playoff at that point. If you can't even put up a decent fight against an Oregon team, and you're supposed to be one of the best top 2 teams out of the Big Ten, then that's going to be bad news for the Big Ten, and they could, you know, that conference's playoff chances could pretty much go out the window if Oregon runs Michigan State off the field. I don't know. We'll see. And I guess that's about it for week 1. I was happy Georgia won. That's great. 1-0. The defense looked really good. Jeremy Pruitt, whatever he's doing, it's working. So we need to keep that up, I guess. Our passing game, we didn't need it. But there will come a time when we do, and hopefully when that time comes, you know, we have been able to develop it and get it up to par. Now, we were without our top 2 receivers in the Clemson game, not making an excuse, just stating a fact here. But Malcolm Mitchell and Justin Scott Wesley did not play in that game, our 2 top receivers. And they may not play in the Carolina game either. We'll see. But I liked what I saw, and I don't know, we'll see what happens. Go Dogs, and good morning, dude.